I strongly believe that this is the only video that you need to watch if you properly want to understand what should be your French learning plan, and if you're giving 3 hours or 4 hours on regular basis, where your time should be going and how much time you should be giving into grammar, vocabulary and all that stuff. I'm also going to discuss about if you're a beginner, what to do, if you have a strong hold of grammar, then what to do, and then once your grammar is finished, then what to do, and once you reach the intermediate level, then what to do. So this is going to be a complete packed information for you. My name is Vyom Sharma, if you don't already know, and I am someone who has cleared TEF Canada exam with the B2 plus C1 score, and now I teach French for Canadian immigration exams, which is TEF TCF Canada. During your first month, if you're a complete beginner, how much time you should be giving on daily basis, a time input and a time investment into all the different aspects of the language will depend on how much time you're giving actually into French. Okay, you can give 2 hours as well, you can give 4 hours on daily basis as well, but generally if you are giving 3 hours on daily basis, then how to study all the components of the language. Okay, so our components are divided into these 2 to 3 different categories. When you are studying, when you, let's say today is your day to sit for 3 hours, this is how your whole day will be divided. And obviously this is a ratio. At the end, I'm also going to talk about the ratio. Whether you are studying for 4 hours or 2 hours or 3 hours doesn't matter. As long as you know the ratio, you will be able to divide the time accordingly. But just for the example purposes, I'm taking the case of 3 hours. If you're a beginner, this is your second day. Okay, not first day. Let's say this is your second day. Without anything, you should be doing a 15-minute revision of what you studied yesterday. Okay, that should happen. Obviously, if it's your first day, you won't need to do that revision. But on second day, third day, and so forth, you should just be able to revise whatever you studied previously. That's the first thing to do. Very important component to study will be grammar. But the question is what to study in the grammar. All you need to do is you have to watch a lecture on any particular topic. If you would like to do that, you can go to my Frenchify playlist. Let me show you my Frenchify playlist actually, so that you're able to understand what do I mean. Yeah, this is the Frenchify YouTube playlist. If you would like to start, if you're starting right from the basics or right from zero, go to lecture number 1 and watch that particular topic. Then you make notes. Okay, this total thing, watching the lecture plus making notes, this will take you about 45 minutes. Okay, and then you have to practice on that topic, which will happen through any grammar book. Okay, that will also take about 45 minutes. Let's say once you watched this topic, verb être in French. Okay, lecture number 20, verb être. Now what you should do is you should go into complete French grammar book. Just read the topic. I mean, it's pretty simple. See, I've already explained, so you don't need to read the topic, but you can. Okay, and then after that, all you need to do is you need to solve these back exercises to practice your particular lecture. Practice these, solve these back exercises, and then you review the answers from the back of this book. I also want to mention you guys one thing. See, over here you will be able to see that I have laid out the full step-by-step mind map for your first month, second to fourth month, fifth, seventh month, and 8th to 12th month. So this is the part of the master class which is going to happen this weekend. Okay, so if you are like currently today, this is Friday, if you're watching this Sunday, there is going to be a masterclass where I will be discussing in detail about how to do self-study by yourself if you're learning French, and I'll be laying down a proper pathway for you to be able to self-study and how to use all the resources when self-studying and setting a proper goal for yourself. So this is going to be very useful. You can register through the link down in the description. So this is what should happen, and this will take you about 1.5 hours in total. So first you are understanding a lecture on a topic, making notes will take you about 30 to 45 minutes, and then you practice on that topic will take you more 30 to 45 minutes, and then you review that particular topic another 30 minutes. Now obviously this will depend on how many topics you are studying. Okay, over here I have said topics. If a topic is small, it might take less time. You can study more topics in that case, but generally speaking, this is how your time will be allocated. First, you are supposed to focus on the grammar mainly, and then you are supposed to practice that topic from the complete French grammar book after watching the lecture, and then you overview your mistakes and you overview the whole concept or concepts. And then after you are done with the grammar, after you have spent about 1.5 hours to 2 hours, the remainder time should be your language input. What do I mean by language input? Language input means reading and listening. Okay. Now, because you are a beginner, the thing is, it's a big challenge to read and listen. Okay, so you don't need to read and listen too much. Just do basic stuff. Read and listen for 30 to 45 minutes in total. Okay, reading plus listening should be 30 to 45 minutes in total. And what resources you can use? First, see, I recommend going nowhere but you start watching these Frenchify podcasts. It's a very good resource for you to be able to practice your listening. How? Let me show you quickly. If you go to Frenchify podcast YouTube channel, you will go to this playlist, and in this playlist you just start listening the stories from right from story number 1. I have designed the stories in such a way that they are completely beginner friendly. It will help you build your listening phonetics, listening practice as well, but also it will help you read as well. Why? Because in the subtitles, in the transcript, there is reading. Okay, reading is happening over there. So that's why I say reading plus listening can happen for 20 to 30 minutes through Frenchify podcasts.
Mamie est petite. J'ai un frère et une sœur.
So this is how your routine will be for language input. Or you can also use Edito A1. This is also one of the books, but again, the thing is, it is going to be a bit overwhelming for you right now during your first month. So I would say stick to Frenchify podcast. More podcasts will be coming very soon, so you will always stay updated on it, and you will have a good information to work with for the first month of your journey. Overall, when we talk about the ratio, now this is very important to understand. The concept remains the same, that your grammar, you should be giving 75% of your time into understanding and getting good in the grammar. And remainder of your time should be going into the input of the language, which is reading and listening together. Okay, so this is something which is very important to do during the first month of your language learning, on how to allocate your time properly. Why I say this is because as a beginner, it is very important that we have a strong foundation of our language which happens through understanding grammar. So that is why grammar is the most crucial aspect. Focus more on grammar if you are a complete beginner. Now let's say you are past this phase, 1 month is done. Now you are someone who has a good hold of grammar. Okay, you have been watching the playlist, and from the playlist you have watched about 30 to 35 videos. Now you have a good hold of grammar. In your 2nd to 4th month, now what you should do? Now at this point, you are still doing the grammar, you are still doing the lecture on the topics, okay, and you are making the notes as well. So in total, it's going to take about 30 minutes to watch any particular topic and make notes. It's going to take about 30 minutes because now you have a good sense of how grammar is working. So it won't take that long. It will be more efficient. And then you are practicing. Now practice will take a little bit more time over here. Why? Because now the topics will become a little bit more complex, which is okay. Practicing will take more time. It may be confusing sometimes, but that's only going to help you in future. So that's my recommendation. Give more time into practicing the grammar, not only the current topics that you would be doing, but also the topics that you did a month ago. Okay, so basically like basic topics plus the topics that you would be doing during this time. Kind of like practice those topics and then do the corrections and overview for 30 minutes. At this point, your ability to understand the grammar will be more efficient, but your ability to practice will be a little bit slow right now because the grammar topics will be complex, but that is okay. Okay, with that, now talking about the language input. Okay, in language input, you should be reading and listening. Now you should be increasing your time into reading and listening, which again, the resource will be same. You will be using Frenchify podcast because there will be A2 level podcasts as well. A1 plus A2, that will help you not only get better into listening, but also it will build your reading vocabulary. So it's going to be great. Or you can continue using Edito A1, do reading listening from Edito A1, or you start Edito A2 if your Edito A1 is done, but I don't think so. Edito A1 can be done in a month. So my recommendation is run these two, like first do Edito A1 and then move on to A2, but the overall time is 45 minutes. And then over here, you should also start spending some time into doing speaking. Okay, don't do too much. 20 to 30 minutes, pick a topic, pick a basic topic, create 50 to 60 word paragraph, and then just kind of memorize it and speak it to yourself. That in itself will take about 30 minutes. And talking about the overall ratio during your 2nd, 3rd and 4th month of your study, the overall ratio of your time allocation, grammar is still high, the priority is more, but because we are now covering more grammar, the amount of grammar to do is slowly going down. So the time input in grammar will be at 60%, and the time input in the overall language consumption, which is also called language input, will be 30%. And now we are also doing a little bit of output, which is speaking. Speaking and writing goes together. Why? Because when you are practicing any speaking topic, we are making notes. We are first of all writing it properly in French, and then we are speaking. So that is also happening. I also recommend keep on using ChatGPT to be able to correct your writing mistakes. Total 20 to 30 minutes time will be given, or it can go more or less. Okay, I'm not talking exact minute by minute plan. This can vary. Sometimes you might take more time into one thing and less time into other, which is completely fine. This is just an overall recommendation of the time allocation. Okay, you were someone who had a good strong hold of grammar, but now you have completed the grammar. This usually should happen. The best time for that to happen, like if you want to clear TEF Canada exam within 12 months, I really recommend complete grammar in first 4 months at max. Okay, don't let grammar go for too long. Complete it as soon as you can, and then from 5th month, once your grammar is finished, then the approach changes a little bit. Let's understand what our approach will be at that time. At this point, now our main focus is language input. Okay, I have arranged these topics in the prioritizing order, that language input now should be the most prior thing, and then language output, and then the grammar. Okay, so when we talk about language input, your reading and listening should be at high level right now. You should be doing mostly reading and listening. Okay, so 1 hour of reading regularly, 1 hour of listening regularly. Obviously, I'll talk about resources as well in my masterclass. If you haven't registered, make sure to register that as soon as possible. Now, language output as well. It's very important to do speaking for 30 minutes in itself, and then writing as well for 30 minutes. Okay, these things can go more or less depending on your weak aspects, but this is the overall recommendation. And see, now grammar, because we have already done the grammar, we don't need to actively worry about grammar. This is something that is going to be passive now. Now all we need to do is we need to just passively revise the grammar. Let's say you were reading something, you were not able to understand this particular word or a phrase, and then you planned on going back to that topic to understand. So that should be good enough. Okay, so when we talk about the overall ratio of our daily time input, let's say if you're giving 3 hours, out of that your 66% time should be going into language input. That means you should be reading and listening for 66% of your time allocation, about 2 hours, which we have over here. And then output should be 33%. That means now we are also giving more time into speaking and writing. Okay, grammar, we don't need to do it actively. It's just when required. So whenever you feel confused in any topic, obviously, see, revision is always happening. I'm not saying just to leave the grammar, but now it will be more of a revision rather than actively working on the grammar. Okay, so I'm not even counting that time. Okay, so that is very important to understand. So this is going to be our overall time allocation when you're about at an intermediate level, once your grammar is finished. Okay, now talking about your 8th to 12th month, or in the other scenario, when you are someone who is intermediate in the language, now you have finished the grammar, you have been reading and listening, now what to do? Now talking about your time allocation, see, not a lot of things are changing over here, but it's crucial to understand this thing as well. Okay, now language input, obviously now listening should be the most. Okay, only this thing is changing, and it's very important to understand why. I will explain properly. Only listening will be the most prior activity to do while you are around the end, while you are about to start your exam specific, TEF specific preparation. And then reading can be, see, all the things that I'm recommending, these are according to 3 hours. Okay, obviously if you are close to your exam, I recommend giving more hours, but if I have to pick time 3 hours only, okay, then this is going to be the overall time division. But I don't think so reading is possible. Like 60 minutes of reading is too less, but also we are taking the threshold of 3 hours on regular basis. Okay, if more, for sure do it. Okay, so that's the overall recommendation. Now language input should be taking your 50% of the time, and then language output, which is our speaking and writing, 30 minutes. This is the least that you should be doing. And the grammar, again, grammar will be revised passively. We don't need to actively worry about it. The ratio will be input, reading and listening, 66%, output we are doing 33%, and then grammar is when required. Now over here, I also want to make one very important point, is that, see, out of this language input, lot of the time has to go into exam specific preparation as well. Okay, now the reason why I have changed this number over here is now because not only we are focusing on the general listening, we are focusing on exam specific listening through all the resources that are required to practice for TEF Canada preparation, for example RFI, TV Sync Monde, and so forth. Okay, the more practice has to happen over there. Same thing for the reading. Exam specific reading has to happen. That means more article reading from Le Monde, Le Figaro and stuff like that. And whenever you are doing speaking should specifically be for TEF Canada preparation only, and writing should be specifically for TEF Canada preparation only. Now the thing is ki the writing section is for 1 hour in TEF Canada, but how can we just practice writing for 30 minutes? In this case, you might have to alternate. One day you are focusing on section A, other day you are focusing on section B, so that has to happen. But I'm also taking the scenario that you are studying only 3 hours, which is something I don't recommend. Like, study more, okay? Study as much as you can. But if you don't have more than 3 hours, then this is the overall time splitting that you should be giving, okay? So this is how you should be allocating your time. This is something that a lot of students have been struggling, and they were struggling onto understanding how to properly allocate their time into what aspect of the language. So do this and you will see the results. If you want to learn French for TEF TCF Canada, you can reach out to me and join the masterclass, because it's going to be very useful. Just 2 days left. Please register. The link is in the description. I'll see you in the next one.